I might be kind of bored on the videos that I know a whole bunch about, but I've been able to find something new every time, and even watching Mike work with our guys day in, day out right now.
Please welcome America's service sales coach, Joe Crisara.
Welcome to the Service MVP Podcast, the show that helps home service professionals master high-value sales, build stronger client relationships, and grow their business like never before. Join industry experts as they share real strategies that drive results. If you're ready to level up your service game, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
It's the Service MVP Podcast.
Welcome to the Service MVP Podcast, and my name is Joe Crisara, America's service sales coach. We have with us today, everyone, I'm happy to introduce one of my good friends. His name is Matt Simet, who is the owner of PlumbRite in Omaha, Nebraska, a privately owned business that they founded in 2018. And Matt's a third generation master plumber hailing from Omaha, Nebraska. He's emerged as a beacon of world-class customer service in the plumbing industry. From its inception, the company's mission has been crystal clear: get it done right with PlumbRite. Matt, thanks for joining us on the show today. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, Matt, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about your background so people can understand your company. I know one of the biggest things is that the quality of the jobs you do are one of the things that is your unique strategic position. Is like, hey, we're gonna get this. Let's make sure we do the PlumbRite is not just a brand name; it's something you actually live. Tell us about how you developed that philosophy and how you got this business started.
Years ago, I was taught by my grandpa, which was the first generation plumber in our family, to not cut corners and take the job seriously. If you don't have time to do it right the first time, when are we going to find time to do it right the second time? Since I was about 12, 13 years old, I've been riding around in my grandpa's plumbing truck, figuring out how to do things the right way. And because of grandpa, it just kind of stuck with me. You can say probably beat it into me one way or another.
You know, your grandfather and my grandfather must have known each other because that's exactly what my grandfather said. He's like, if you can't do it right, when are you going to find a second time to do it right? He said exactly the same words, took the words right out of his mouth. So maybe, who knows? Maybe they talked or whatever, but they must. It's a good strategy. I think it's so. I think when you get that elevated, just tell us about. What is the biggest challenge right now? So you look at this business you're in the plumbing business you're in, and with drains and plumbing, and working in Omaha, Nebraska too, specifically. Well, what is the biggest challenge that you had to face as you're going through this business and building it for the people of your community? Would you say?
Yeah. Biggest challenge. We've had a series of challenges, as any home service or any entrepreneur business owner would probably go through, but biggest challenge has probably been finding qualified plumbers that share the belief in our world-class customer service that we try to offer, every one of our customers, and really believe in that. Finding someone that believes in that and that lives it by day has been the biggest challenge.
You got to find additional grandsons for your grandfather's philosophy there, right? Make sure that they could do it too. And it is hard. So what is it, Matt? What is the sort of like if a new employee was going to work at PlumbRite, what would be the experience that you do? I know you also teach at a local in Omaha. You teach plumbing, technical plumbing skills to people yourself. Tell us about what the experience is like. Is anybody just allowed to come in and PlumbRite with their own experience, or do you make sure that you double check on the quality you provide for the community of Omaha?
Yeah, we have an introduction period. We set them up on a 30, a 60, and a 90-day plan of kind of how we introduce them. If you ever had goldfish and you buy new goldfish from the store and you dip them in the tank inside the bag and let the water get acclimated to it, and then open the bag and let them loose, is kind of our philosophy on how we do it. So even if they've had 20, 30 years of a plumbing experience, we put them in a truck with one of we call them our top three techs. We have them ride around to kind of show them the ropes, and then that's kind of the first 30 days is learning how we do things, from everything from how we dress to how we talk. how we walk and just how we operate on a day-to-day basis. And then the second month is or the second 30 days is them showing our top tech that they can do it. And, with a little bit of help or, reminders as we go along. And then the last 30 days is them just kind of doing it on themselves, by themselves, and showing us that they've retained what we've learned and they're doing it the PlumbRite way.
Mm.
Um, so,
And
yeah,
I suppose you also learn about the stuff about them, the promptness or their, you can tell somebody here's how you dress and stuff like that, but then either they embrace those the rituals of PlumbRite or they resist it. Is that also part of that process for you? I mean, I know what they're expected to train, but you're also getting trained on what they're like too, right? Tell me about that too, Matt.
yeah. I mean, in the first 30 days, we kind of learn really if they're going to be part of the team or if they're going to be a little more combative and not, they kind of want to do it their way instead of our way. And then, at that point, we have a couple conversations with them and explain to them, we like to do it the PlumbRite way because PlumbRite way gets us our desired outcome 99% of the time. If we do it your way, we don't know what the outcome is because we don't have that data and it's not the way that we're set up to operate. Everybody in the office, from the office to the warehouse and part of our field service team, we all operate in the same way, carrying out, each one of their own jobs. That way everybody's supported by all the support staff and the field staff. They have the support and they're also, generating the sales and providing the customer service because they're customer facing. So yeah, in that first 30 days, we get to see, are they a punctual person? Do they show up? Do they actually care? Is it a job or a career for them? And are they looking for a home, long-term home as a plumber, or is it just a stepping stone to get somewhere where they want, or I guess just collect a check? Kind of
Yes.
figure that out in the first 30 days.
I want everybody to come to the next Total Immersion, the life-changing event where you increase your sales and your personal growth. What should we do? So once you get somebody who's got the right character and the right competence, to be who's moving the right direction at least to get to be a PlumbRite, a professional specialist. Tell us a little bit about. I know that what we do with you is we teach PlumbRite, and you guys are a great proponent of the training that we provide at Service MVP, and of course it's contractors like you who make our job way easier because the culture is kind of settled into like this is now how we communicate this with customers, the communication and creating value. When did you realize that that was a thing? Because I mean, I know you're a technical instructor and you got sure to make sure people are good character. That's something that a lot of business owners think that's enough. Would you say the technical part of it and people who are just good people are enough to be able to make the business work though financially? Because there's a financial
Um,
component there. What do you think on that, Matt?
I would say one doesn't really work without the other. You kind of need both to make a great technician and a great employee. I mean, really to fit into our culture, we definitely need both. You can be the best plumber in the world, but if they have a bad attitude and don't believe in following the processes that we've had success with, they typically don't work out, and it just kind of shows with the way that they provide customer service or lack of customer service because they're not following processes. But that guy can fix anything. He just doesn't have the right attitude or the right beliefs in the customer service part. And then vice versa, if they don't have the technical skill, but they do have customer service, um, and the beliefs, they're a little bit more coachable if they're that way. But you know, it doesn't really work without the technical skill. I don't want to send an unskilled technician to someone's house. That really wouldn't be providing them the
Mhm.
world-class customer service that we promise.
It's a, it's a,
So
it's
go
it's a
ahead.
it's a balance, right? It's a balance of the technical skill. Because if you won't be able to communicate confidently if you don't understand the problems of a plumbing or drain system properly, and you aren't going to be able to communicate the solutions if you're not competent in the technical aspect of things as well. But if you're not able to communicate it as well, that's going to be that half has to be there too. That's makes a lot of sense. If you were going to speak to one of your clients, let's say you're speaking to the community of Omaha right now and broadcasting this to them, how do you balance out the financial component that's needed? Because running a business, like I've never seen a small business that really charges too much, because I know the client is like the self-correcting mechanism that makes the prices have to be high a value, a certain value they get. But how do you justify, or if you had to explain the prices to your clients and say, hey, here's a why the prices are so high, how do you justify that to the community of a place like Omaha, Nebraska, which I think people are pretty, they're pretty button up, I call them, where they're kind of like, like they're pretty intelligent, and they know about what stuff costs and things like that. So I know PlumbRite is not the cheapest company, but how do you communicate value the best to your clients? If you're speaking to a client, what would you tell them about going too cheap or using a place like PlumbRite?
Yeah, I don't think that's a real hard question, to be honest with you. I teach my guys, and when we have to talk to customers about the price and justify the prices, there's a cost to doing business. And, we, as a business owner and a business just serving the community, we have to make enough money to be here tomorrow. Because if I don't charge you enough, um, to stay in business, then when you need a plumber tomorrow or a week from now or 2 years from now, I won't be here. I won't be here to provide this level of service, with the professionals that we do, and we go from everything from being able to answer the phone in three rings or less, holding a schedule, employing enough good people to, be able to get to you within, 24 hours, and not, you know, 5 weeks later, as your faucet's overflowing at your house.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I guess short story is we have to charge what we need to charge to be here. And we provide you with that level of service. That way we're also here tomorrow to provide you with the same level of service that you come to expect from us.
So let's just do a little outline on what I know. We had a couple of you guys with us, and we were down in Texas together for a great week together. We had a great time to be able to bond and connect and spend some time together down there. And I learned about some of your people and about you too, and you learned about what we're doing as well. Tell us a little bit about like the different elements of the system. So, like one of the things you guys have done, I think the guys I've seen down there was kind of giving clients your friendship or making that client connection. Tell us about, if you have any stories or something you want to share or something like that about how important that client connection is, that to connect with the community in a way is step one, rather than worrying about even the problem or the solution. People are more important than things. So tell us what you think about, and any stories you have about how PlumbRite connects with their clients and shows what's inside their heart with their community, with your community.
Um, I don't know if I have any stories connecting with the customers. We believe in giving our unconditional friendship to every customer. We want to, I do talk to the guys and teach the guys to, we want to be their, every customer's plumbing best friend is what we call it around here. We don't want them using another plumber, so we try to perform in a way that, um, we really become their trusted best friend. And I think, myself and, all the technicians that I got, we've all done it in a bunch of different ways. We've helped out around the community by sponsoring, local baseball teams, to just kind of show them that we care about the community. We've ran summer job programs with a couple of the local high schools, and then employing teenagers to kind of get their feet wet to help bring them into the trades and just show that we are involved in the community. Um, we've also donated some emergency work through a couple different programs here in Omaha, Nebraska, to help out people that were in need of needing new water service. Emergency in the middle of the winter was one of the most recent ones that we've done that I can think of. And yeah, I think we've done all kinds of things to connect with our community. and just show good face.
That's good. And was that for you as an owner? What's that like when you see that the feedback that comes back to you? Because do you have a feedback loop that shows the community does appreciate that level of connection? So how does that come back to you as an owner to know that this mission is being accomplished?
Um, we've uh, we've been told by people throughout the community that they've seen our name at the baseball games and the banners, and they know that if you're sponsoring the team, that's how you get your name up on the banners. And we had a lady, her son played varsity for our local high school, and I guess she got back to us. She actually ended up using us and told our technician that she was super honored to be able to use the company that sponsored the baseball team because it was her son's dream to play in the Nebraska state tournament, and part of our sponsorship helped pay for room and board when they went down to the state tournament. So
So, so
she thanked us for that.
you did have a story, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we had to dig a little deep for her, but yeah. So, I mean, between customers giving us a feedback from where they see our names, or different people I mean, local vendors, they stop in because obviously they've seen our name and stuff. And I kind of hear about it all the time. I've been out to dinner wearing, PlumbRite gear, and I've had service say, "Hey, my mom used you guys last week," and it comes back around, and kind of some of the oddest spots now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, yeah. Let's talk about because one of your specialties is the technical aspect of the plumbing and drain systems. You're a stickler, teaching training classes on it and things like that. Talk about diagnosing instead of just the one problem, how PlumbRite expands on diagnosing the whole system. Why is that? Is it really worth the time from the efficiency standpoint to spend time with that, obviously connecting with people, but also taking the time to diagnose the whole system? Because a lot of plumbers just try to fix the one problem and get out as fast as possible. What's PlumbRite's what is your philosophy in that regard? Is it just to find it and get out, or tell us about the philosophy in terms of diagnosing systems instead of problems only?
Yeah, the last thing we want to do is just diagnose a symptom of the problem, the real problem, you know. Um, we wouldn't be doing our due diligence, and we definitely wouldn't be providing that world-class customer service if we didn't do a full diagnostic of the system. The last thing we want to do is, put a Band-Aid on something, and the real problem just blows the Band-Aid off, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
We teach our techs to do a full diagnostic of the system, everything from, water quality to checking the pressure and just the age and quality of the system in general, right? This is Omaha, Nebraska. We're not a brand new city, so we have some old parts, original parts.
Hmm.
We teach and train our techs and expect them to do a full diagnostic. Like I said, the last thing we want to do is do a partial and put a Band-Aid on it, and then you end up having a bad experience with us because we didn't do a full diagnostic of the system, like any Joe Blow plumber would do.
Yeah, I think, and that leads you to a more permanent long range solution. How important is that, Matt, to your both to the customer's peace of mind and also your bottom line? How important is that creating
Oh,
a more long range solution rather than just a short term?
yeah, it's definitely one of the most important things that we do because if we could lose a customer over a bad diagnostic, and I haven't met anyone that really likes to see the plumber all the time. So if we put a Band-Aid on and we don't do a full diagnostic, you're probably going to see a plumber every year, and I mean, we like our customers, and our customers definitely like us. Um, but I don't think they want to see us every year or every 6 months. So if we do a full diagnostic, it might be 3 or 4 years since we see them again, and they're not as upset to call us back because nobody likes to call the plumber, Joe.
Yeah, exactly. It's not you're not going to win a popularity contest by having fixing plumbing problems in a house. I've never seen a plumber win the popularity contest when he shows up at the house for sure. He didn't get
Yeah, no.
He doesn't get the most popular award. Uh, about the solutions, though. So when people do see, how important is what we teach here at Service NAP and what you do is doing those premium, mid-range, and economy choices, which to give the public so they can expect a range of choices that they get, and it's also those choices to be customized and relevant to the people who are getting them so that they're not just throwing stuff at the wall and hope it sticks. You're making sure that these choices are going to solve those problems that are in the diagnosis. Tell us about some of the challenges and how and when did you first decide to adopt that philosophy? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. First decided to adopt the philosophy. Man, I think it's been at least 10 years ago. The first time I met you when I was flown out to your class in LA. Uh, from being just a plumber and being introduced to the service world and how you were doing things and teaching us to do things, it was probably the best experience that I think that I've had. It was a system that I really grabbed a hold of, fell in love with, believe, and trust in. And I mean, for the last, well, I don't know, 10, 12 years, I've been living it every day. And it's been great. It's helped increase my skills for communication with customers, and the things that I've learned. I teach your system to my guys, and with your guys' help and guided and unguided, a couple different ways. Um, but as far as offering the different options to the customers, like I said, it's a system that I really believe in. Last thing I want to do is tell them, you only need this one fitting and your whole life is fixed right now, and then that thing, blows off. So we offer, a little bit more permanent to even system upgrades and improvements and water quality improvements. And so I think for the customer, the options, they've done wonders. And then from the business standpoint of the bottom line, it adds right to the bottom line. It's our
How do
bottom
you
line is a
How do you
direct
get a
result.
how do you get a pro plumber? And one of the hardest things I see in Nebraska is it's a licensed state, so you can't just have people out there, who are painting a house one week and next week they're doing plumbing. You can't get a paper license. It's a real license where you have to, and they're very strict about it. Probably I'm from Illinois, and we always thought we were strict, but when I heard about what you guys have to go through, and especially in Omaha, the city of Omaha specifically. It's very strict in terms of that part of it there. How do you get somebody like that who has got a finite amount of people? There's not a lot of there's not an overflow of plumbers. Those are the biggest challenge, like you said. This is one of the questions everybody's probably asking. How do you get guys who like that, highly skilled people who are licensed or moving to the license? They're licensed apprentice or licensed journeyman to be able to motivate them inside, to be able to get those choices and do that full diagnosis and get those choices. Because there's got to be a sort of a sense of entitlement with that finite licensing and stuff like that. How do you motivate people to do that, Matt?
Yeah, you're not wrong about the sense of entitlement from plumbers in Omaha, Nebraska. They're highly skilled and have very big egos. Um, Honestly, they're kind of few and far between. It's not impossible. We look, I actually have a really good interview process to help identify certain characteristics that would make a good customer service provider. We look for people that actually want to help, serve other people. Um, like I said, they're few and far between, but not impossible to find. We've had a lot of success with finding them, newer out of school, coming right out of school, and some guys, they now have the technical side and the experience on that side, and they were just kind of pigeonholed into, we call it like the construction side of plumbing, where they're just building buildings and putting pipe in. They're not really dealing with customers. And some guys got the personality where they they want to deal with customers. They like to talk to customers, and they kind of got a serving characteristic about them where they want to help a customer out, and they kind of a superhero mentality, if you will, about going into
Mm.
someone's house. They're having a bad day and they're fixing their problem, and at the end of that fix, the customer's happy. Um, So we look for younger plumbers that are coming out, and there's fewer and fewer of them, it seems like, to find. Uh, but through an interview process, and one thing that we've done very, very well as a company is we've kind of established ourselves as a premium and kind of the premier company, premier employer. So, you know, we have full benefits. We're not a fly-by-night shop. We have full benefits, a retirement plan. We make sure that, our technicians are driving around in brand new vans. We give them all the state-of-the-art tools. And we're really big on training. And, like I said, we've been in business since 2018. So in the last 8 years, we've kind of just really done a good job of establishing ourselves amongst the plumbers as a place that a lot of guys kind of they want to work here because of the things that we do for the employees and um, the training, the pay,
Yeah.
performance. We pay them for as good as plumbers as they are. So
One of the highest honors for me is to train a team like yours because they are so bought into training. And it seems like, so you're really talking about people who have an intrinsic value inside that I do need to get trained. Their ego is not their amigo in a way. They are open to improvement and open to, that's what I've seen from the entire team at PlumbRite. And that seems like it's sort of like, you're not relying to motivate people. They have to come here kind of ready to motivate themselves. Is that a fair statement?
yeah, yeah.
Good, good. Well, and then we talk about the, doing premium work means getting the job done and closing the process and scheduling the work and all that part of it there. And so, what about that? I mean, those are barriers that sometimes consumers like to shop or they like to stall or hold off on that part of it. How do you guys work through that part of it? What's the secret sauce, if you think, to getting the job done so you're not just giving prices and diagnosing and making friends. Those are good things. Friendship, diagnosing, and pricing. But obviously we're trying to get the job done. And by the way, none of that stuff you're charging for. It's very little what you're making on all the most of the job. There's a lot of stuff you're diagnosing, making a friend, and making the prices. That's free, right? The part where we get paid is when we get the work done. So how do you guys navigate that barrier in a place like Omaha where people are, I'm pretty sure, pretty not frugal, but they're very discerning clients, I kind of would say, in that community.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I would say the community does seem to be pretty responsive to kind of the way that we're doing things. And the way that we do them is it's the system that I learned from you 10, 12 years ago, Joe. Um, we I've been living it for a long time and have been trying to teach and pass it on to the guys. But it's just, we're there for the community. Everything from just answering the phone and being available and being able to get a technician out to them to help them with their problem when they need it. Not, again, not 3, 4 days later. We're not leaving the customer 3, 4 days with no hot water or no faucet or, a leak. And then our process to do it, everything from just answering the phone, booking the call and letting, very clear communication and expectations with the customer of when we're going to be there and the constantly touching base with them. Our technician is ready. He'll call you with an ETA on the drive time. And then our technician is communicating with them. Hey, I'm 20 minutes away. He shows up, he does an introduction so the customer knows who he's dealing with. And then he goes on about diagnosing the problem and getting to know the customer all at the same time because, nobody wants a stranger in their house, Joe. So after diagnosing, he doesn't pigeonhole the customer into, hey, this is what you have to do to fix it. We give them, some premium, some mid-range and economy options. That way they have a choice and a say in what actually happens in probably their largest investment. If they're like anyone else in the whole country, the house is their largest investment. So, our job is to help them protect that and keep that investment, safe.
So just the service of providing choices is really a great way to navigate that sort of barrier. because now it becomes not a barrier. It makes it easy to do business when you've got all the choices in front of people. It's really great. Well, Matt, I definitely, one last question I got for you, because I know you're a stickler of training yourself. You love training people, and you love seeing the growth, the personal growth that people have. What's it like for you when you have to stand aside and watch Joe Crisara or one of the coaches at Service MVP do the training? You just gotta be like, like, hey, let me get up there. I got a few
Uh,
words to say about this. How do you sit in your chair and not wanting to get up there in front of people?
no, I'm just as much a student as anyone else. My take on it is try to learn something from everybody that I meet. So, when I sat in your class just a few weeks ago with my guys, I learned a couple new things. Even though I've been through the class, watched all the videos a few times, I learned something new every go through. I might be kind of bored on the videos that I know a whole bunch about, but I've been able to find something new every time, and even watching Mike work with our guys day in, day out right now. A couple of the things that we've just picked up, I was like, didn't think of that, didn't notice it. So I'm always looking at something new. Definitely don't think I can do it better. I always think I could help for sure, but yeah, I love learning from you and the other guys that we work. I don't know if I'd be where I am without you.
Well, thank you so much, Matt. Definitely, it's a high honor to work with premium people like you and professionals like you, and all of you people who are watching this episode. Thank you for sticking with us until the end. If you gained value from today's episode, we'd love for you to leave a rating or review or whatever you wherever you listen to the podcast. And if you know someone in the service industry or anyone looking to scale their career or business, send this episode their way. And Matt, I think is a great proponent of teaching. Maybe this lesson will teach them something. So take one key insight from today, put it in action, and let us know how it goes. We'd love to hear about your progress. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see everyone here on the next episode of the Service MVP Podcast.